We have some Christmas crackers to be distributed. There's not quite enough for everyone, but if they could go out now, please, that would be absolutely great. Thank you. And we can do a little bit of sharing within families. That would just be helpful. We're just slightly more than the number of crackers. But as long as everyone gets a chance to pull a cracker in the moment. And for those at home, if you've got a Christmas cracker spare left over from Christmas lunch or New Year's Day, you may want to get hold of your cracker now. And we will pull those in just a moment. Well, I guess we will have seen on television the news of the James Webb Space Telescope. And if all goes to plan, once it is deployed in orbit around the Earth, it will be around the size of a tennis court, gazing back into time further than we've ever seen before. It takes billions of years for the light from the farthest reach of the universe to reach us. So we, if we can see far enough, as it were, can go back billions of years in time, and we will be able to get much closer to that moment when the universe came into being. If there was a Big Bang, as scientists presently believe, that moment when the universe exploded into being, out of the being of God that we read of in Genesis chapter 1. Now, has everyone got a cracker at home? Have you got your cracker if you're going to get one? Because you just want a little cracking time now. They're almost out. Can you put your hand in the air if you've not had one brought to you? Because we've still got some left at the back there, I think. There's a couple of boxes I can see. Let's get those down the front, one or two over here as well. That's great. Good. We finished the boxes. Anyone without? You can have. No, you don't want one? Okay, you've got one over there. Okay. Is everyone? We've got some more here. Anyone without? We've got some more. Dominic there. Dominic there needs one. Yeah, great. And Joseph, great. Good. Thank you. So Nathan, let's pull our cracker, shall we? So we can all find someone to put your cracker with, someone you do it safely with. If you're by yourself, you may just want to sort of make sure you do a bit of socially distanced cracker pulling with someone. Right. Hey! Good. What have we got? Right. What do you want to do? Yes, I can bring that in. Okay. Some nice cracker noises. Some nice cracker noises going on. You may want to put the hat on your head. At home, you may have a hat on your head already, so you may want to put it on your head. A little bit of chaos here to explain for those watching afterwards or at home as we rescue our bits of crackers from around and enjoy them. Now, don't read the jokes yet. I asked Jokey this morning what she got in her cracker on Christmas Day. She said she got a small bottle of gin, which was very nice. I said, did it come from Harrods? No, she said it came from Aldi. So there we are. If you want a good Christmas cracker next year, go to Aldi, you'll get a very cheap one and you might get a nice bottle of something in it as well. Who knows? There's an advert for Aldi. If Tesco's wish to sponsor us, you can do so. That's great. Great, thank you. Well, you may want to put your crown on your head. I will take mine off because things on my head tend to give me headaches, so I don't want to be too much of a headache to you this morning. The Magi were amongst the wisest people of the day. They were like the scientists of the day. Our scientists are trying to go back in time to find the source of all that we are. And the Magi wanted to find the source of life itself. And they were following the star. They were the wise Magi. We translate as wise men, which is not bad as a loose translation of it. They were the OBEs of science. They were the Sir Chris Whitties of the day. They were like our scientists doing their best. They were like the religions of the world, like Hinduism, like Islam, like Buddhism. They were using their best knowledge to try and find the source of all things, the source, God, the being, the very being of God. And they used all their best wits to do this, and you can do this. You can look around and you can say, well, the universe is wonderful. Surely there must be someone behind it all. And so on. So they did all of that. And much of what scientists and religions discover is great and fabulous. But the Magi were to discover that human wisdom only gets us so far. The Magi were looking for a king. So where do you find a king? You go to the capital city. You go to the place of power and wealth. That's where you normally find a king with the powerful. But they needed God to speak to them, for them to go to Bethlehem. If you want to discover who someone is, they have to communicate, normally by speaking, but can be in other ways as well. You can be the best psychiatrist, the best psychologist, the best doctor, the best nurse, the best biologist, the best scientist. You can do all your work trying to discover who a person is. You can cut them up, examine them, run tests, and all the rest of it. But unless they communicate to you, they speak to you in some way, you will not have a clue what that person is like within them, who they really are. And it's no less true in our finding of God. We try all sorts of ways, but God said, I need to speak. So God sent the prophets that we've been remembering as we've had the Advent candles. God sent a star. And God supremely sent Jesus Christ, whom we call, who John calls, the Word made flesh, so that we can know what God is like. As John puts it, the world knew him not, but by listening to the prophets and to the star, they found the origins of creation itself. How is God speaking to you? You can use your best wits. Only God's word can take you beyond to the deeper truth. How is God speaking to you? Listen, that you may learn. Now, most crackers have jokes in them. So I've no idea what joke Nathan had. But Nathan, would you like to come and just tell us? I don't know. I imagine Nathan's quite good at cracking jokes. So I imagine he's going to give us as good as anyone could possibly give on this joke. I have no idea what the joke's going to be. Let's hope it's not too awful. Right, Nathan, okay.
You may or may not get that fair answer. So, how many chimneys does Father Christmas go down? Any answers? Any ideas? How many chimneys does Father Christmas go down? Yeah, Matesh. 1 billion. As a clue, it's not an actual number. It's meant to be a funny joke. And I say meant to be. I'm not certain how funny it actually is. So it's not an actual number. But 1 billion is possibly about right. I don't know. Hello? Carol, yes.
One at a time.
That's actually... so Carol said, how many chimneys does Father Christmas go down? One at a time. Which is actually funnier than what's written here.
Tracy's got an idea.
Oh, Tracy. None, because he's got stuck. Yeah. Okay, what I've got written on the paper, how many chimneys does Father Christmas go down? Stacks. There we go. I didn't write
You did right. Does anyone else want to tell us? You may want to tell your jokes at home. Anyone else want to tell us their joke? Matesh, come and tell us your joke. Do you want to come up here?
That's the same.
No, okay, that's great. Good. You want to come, Kaylee? Yes, come and tell us your joke, Kaylee, so people can hear it at home as well.
No.
Start again.
No. Mary. Mary who? Merry Christmas.
Mary. The old ones are the best. One reason that I think we have some interesting developments. Matesh is going to come and tell us his one as well. Right.
There we go. I think he's got a fresh one.
A fresh one, right?
Some new material. Okay. Yeah, Matesh.
What do
What do snowmen eat for breakfast?
Snowflakes.
What's the answer to this?
Snowflakes.
Snowflakes!
Lovely. Well, one reason that I'm seeing another person wants to come and tell us their joke. Do you want to come? Do you need to come up the front? No, you do need so that people can. Yes, okay. Yeah, we can share them afterwards, can't we? One reason that jokes work is that they surprise us, and in the case of cracker jokes, mostly because they're so bad. The Magi had expected to find truth in Jerusalem, but were surprised and sent to Bethlehem. Many moons ago, when I had rather longer hair than I do now, and not quite as grey, I went to what's called the Church of the Nativity in Bethlehem, which is actually quite possibly where Jesus was born. There's some really quite good evidence for that as a possible location. To go into the Church of the Nativity, you have to bend down because the door is very, very low. And I can't quite remember. I think you have to sort of go stoop something like this to get into the church. The door is very low indeed. And the wise men needed, as it were, to bend low, to put aside all their own knowledge, to say that's not enough, it's good as far as it goes, but they needed to bend low because that is where they found God. And we have to be willing to accept our smallness in the vastness of this wonderful creation, and there find God in our smallness with us, saying how important each one of us is. I wonder if the wise men laughed when they found the baby. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if they did. And they discovered that God is not an angry man in the sky, but is the one who is Emmanuel, which means God with us. As John puts it in the reading we had, full of grace and truth. What is God saying and doing in you? How is God calling you to humble yourself? If you do as John puts it, if you receive him, if you kneel low, to all who receive him, who believe in his name, he gives power to become children of God. No longer just insignificant specks in the universe, but sons, daughters of God. Listen that you may learn. Well, I've got a little gift in my cracker. Actually, it's not bad. It's a bit of a cracker of a gift as they go. I've got a little fun book with some Sudoku there and a crossword and one or two other things. Anyone else got some nice little gifts in there? Nathan, what did you get in yours?
I got some scraps of paper.
Nathan got some scraps of paper. Well, there we are. Obviously, beating Leonardo to be able to. Anyone else got a? You've got the same fun book, I think, as I've got. Yes. What? A kazoo. Oh yes, lovely, great. And we've got. Yes. What did you have? Calendar. So we find all sorts of gifts inside. The gift that the Magi found was God lying in the manger. They discovered that life is never so hard or so bad that God is not with us. God was there with a young family having to make do with the downstairs room, sharing with the animals as their delivery ward. God was there in a cold and drafty maternity wing. God was there as the one having to flee child abuse as Herod set about killing all the young children in and around Bethlehem. God was there when his family became migrants, fleeing for safety to Egypt, and then fleeing and returning home sometime later. There are never such troubles that God is not by our side, and you can never go low enough to get lower than God. However low we go, God is lower there already, waiting to catch us, to receive us. And it may be that today We are struggling trying to bring up a family or to encourage wayward children to turn to Christ. It may be that we are striving to help abused children or women in some way or other, or perhaps seeking justice for someone. It may be that you are aware of your powerlessness to change those things that are going on around you. It may be that you're trying to encourage a friend not to give up hope, and yet it is such a struggle. In this or other ways, you may find that you are in a stable of life and that life is a mess. And you might feel like you're an animal feeding from a trough. God is there in the trough with you. Emmanuel. This is what it means when John says, the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. Whatever you experience, whatever you are going through, God has been in moments like that, similar and worse. Emmanuel, waiting for us to bend low and see Christ there. And sometimes God takes us low so that we can discover Christ is there, who lifts us high. Where do you fit into the story? Are you the Magi? Are you the Herod? Are you Jesus? Actually, in this story, you are none of those. Your role is to be the star. Your role as a follower of Jesus is to live your life in such a way that people are not so much interested in you, but the one to whom you point, the reality of their life within you. Your role is to have that life so overflowing that others keep looking at you and you keep shining even if others are busy or uninterested or exploring blind alleys. Your role is that when you meet those who are still trying to find Jesus in Jerusalem and restless there, to help them to think again, where may I find that life? Your role is to remember when all seems dark around you, that stars shine most brightly at night. And even when your candle wick seems just a little light there, remember that if that was the only light in the universe, one day, if there were a civilization on the other side of the universe and had a powerful enough telescope, they would see it. However dim your light, your candle is. Your role is to be the star. Your role is not to be Jesus. It is not for you to miraculously change everything forever. Your role is not to be Herod, threatened by any development that stops you being the centre of the universe. Your role isn't even to be the wise men, seeking truth on the edges, for you have found the truth if you are in Christ. Your role is to shine your light on the light of Christ, God with us. Perhaps Paul, in the book of Philippians, chapter 2, was reflecting. Maybe he'd heard someone tell this story. Maybe he heard Matthew tell this story when he spoke of us shining like lights, like stars in the darkness. Whether people observe your light is not necessarily your department. Yours is to make sure, mine is to make sure that the light is shining so that all we do points to Jesus in that manger. Your job as you leave is to ensure one thing, that you're a star. Forget the OBEs. Be a star.